Good morning and welcome back to Alex Talking. It's a huge weekend for movies. I love going to the movies, and yesterday I ended up seeing two films my fiance was the cinematographer for on the big screen when they did her showcase right after she finished her last day of school. So, shout out my girl. I get to marry you in 7 days, and I'm so happy and proud of you. But I saw a really shitty movie before all that called Now You See Me, Now You Don't. The third film in the Magician series starring Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Dave Franco, and kind of a choose your own adventure of women because they feel they can only really have one woman, as they call themselves the Four Horsemen. But, they need to have their token woman. They replaced Isla Fisher in the second one and then bring her back in this one, and even at a certain point verbally have a line about how there can only be one woman on their team. I am in a women's representation in media class right now at Penn State in my final semester of college, as a matter of fact, and I can't help but think about the stuff I learned in that class when I watch pretty much every mainstream film now, because it feels like things were getting really good there for a minute in the post Me Too era, and women were getting well written roles and treated with respect, especially in mainstream film. Not that, I mean, that's not even an issue really in indie film. A lot of movies, like If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, for example, that's the typical type of indie movie. Like all the way 10 years ago, Keira Knightley was making Laggies with A24. So I'm not really worried about the type of representation and stories in indie movies because those have always been pretty good. Um, but between something like Superman and the way that this movie jokes about women, I'm like, damn, I don't know. I don't know if women are being treated with the respect they deserve anymore in these mainstream films. It's really disappointing. Obviously, Wicked 2 comes out this upcoming week, and um, I know this is a weird way to start this review, but the way the Lizzie Kaplan character and the women in the story were handled was so baffling and bizarre to me. It's not the reason I thought this was a bad movie. I understand it's probably strange for me to talk about it for like 2 minutes before I actually get into why this movie didn't entirely work for me, but hell, it's my YouTube video. I can fucking talk about whatever I want. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this movie. I've never been a big fan of this franchise. I've never been a hater of it either. They're both Redbox movies to me. Nothing I ever saw in theaters, but I rented them and watched them with my family as a kid and enjoyed them. Rewatched the first one before this. I gotta say, the second one is my personal favorite of the series. Maybe it is because of Lizzie Kaplan. Who knows? But I also think it has the most style. 6 Degrees of Separation. John M. Chu directed the second one. We just mentioned Wicked. But this one's directed by Ruben Fleischer, and there's some really, really just horrible, like, establishing shots. And by the third one, they were like in Berlin or something. I was like, did the Uncharted guy direct this? Is that why this is like so aggressively? Yeah, we're making a studio mandated blockbuster. Hey, we finally got this script off the ground because nostalgia pays. Hey, get work for hire, director, man. Just pump this shit out. I feel bad because, Dave Franco, Jesse Eisenberg, they seem to really like making these movies. And I don't mean just in the movies, because they're both very committed, very good as, they're both good actors. They're good in anything. But even like Dave Franco doing press for Together was talking about how excited he was for this to come out and how he'd been working to get this movie off the ground for years. And that was sticking with me while I was watching it. It was so generic and so painful. And hey, a ton of different franchises are doing their passing the torch movie. Let's do ours. But this is the third movie in a series that has only been around for 11 years, starring people who aren't very old. I don't care about these characters either. So I can't understand why the play is to do a young magician team up movie unless it was just we literally have fucking nothing else. But everyone else is doing this thing. I'm sure we can squeeze our movie through that template. Now you see three. I mean, nah. I thought that this was boring as shit, and the only redeeming qualities were every single actor. Rosamund Pike as a villain, awful South African accent, but having a great time. She's really chewing the scenery, and I did enjoy her. Obviously, the Horsemen are good. Like I love having Isla Fisher back, um, and I'm not gonna get into spoilers until the very end because it's fucking Now You See Me 3. I should be able to talk about it freely. And I was still gonna say I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but I saw the fucking thing. Why not talk about it to its fullest extent? I put myself through that torture. It has to be for something. It has to be for this. So I will talk about this shit in full detail. So let's just say I thought this was a very generic movie that was, you know, very generically directed, very generically done, with a very generic script. If you like magic and simple blockbusters, it is completely fine, other than the crypto jokes and the AI jokes, which are just also not funny at fucking all to me, or the like young teen characters all doing selfies all the time and taking pictures of each other. Not funny at all to me. Um, Woody Harrelson says, fuck magic. Where's a key? Or something like that at a certain point. I laughed out loud really hard. Just have to shout that joke out. It was the only joke in the whole movie that made me laugh. And it was a tough watch because I was in an empty theater on opening day. And the theater was completely empty. And I wasn't laughing until I heard my laugh echo in this empty theater to old Woody being funny as always because Woody Harrelson's the fucking best. That being said, let's get into spoilers. And yeah, Lizzie Kaplan is the best part of this movie, just like the second one. It's nice to have Isla Fisher back for the first half. Well, around 40 minutes into the movie, 30 minutes into the movie, I thought the first like 30 minutes of this, whenever it's just the young people doing AI projections of these fucking magicians, excuse me. Because at the beginning, when it was like the opening, I thought, oh wow, this is really bad. Like this is really generic, even for like what I expected, and even what I described with this movie. I was like, wow, like the way these magicians are talking is ridiculous. And then it was, of course, revealed what it was, and that it wasn't actually them. That's why it sounded so uncanny valley and unnatural, and was just genuinely stupid. But I, uh, I did come to, of course, like it more when the actual people you're there for got involved. And then whenever they get arrested and Lizzie Kaplan comes, I almost immediately was like, yeah, that has to be her. That has to be her. Which tells me the movie did succeed. You know what I mean? Like it was succeeding in what it was doing because I was engaged enough as a fan. I guess the series succeeded as well, that I wanted to see the girl I liked from the second movie come back in this third movie because they chose to not put her in part of the advertising because that would be three girls on the poster. And that would, like, I know people wouldn't go see it, is what the marketing people are fucking saying, those morons. I just get so worked up by that. It's like, there's no explainable reason why Lizzie Kaplan's not a part of the team in this. Even her and Dave Franco getting back together at the end and being like, we're gonna date again. You know what? I didn't feel fucking shit. You could have just had them stay dating the entire time and use the pre existing knowledge and relationship built up in the last movie rather than trying to artificially create some sort of emotion by having them break up off screen, awkwardly be at odds the entire movie that you greenlit and fucking made, not the one that you're hoping to make when this movie fails at the box office and then you can make a fourth one. It's mind boggling to me. I don't know how these blockbuster movies get written so nonsensically, but it's only because I'm older. I suppose I always have been, but now that I'm an older person, it's hard not to be jaded watching something so corporate, corrupt, and hollow. I cheered in this empty theater when Morgan Freeman walked in because I thought that's what they're going for. It's embarrassing, but that is what they were going for with that scene. So I wanted to fucking play along with the movie. Shit, man. I only saw this instead of The Running Man and Keeper and even The Carpenter's Son because no one else wanted to see it with me. And it was the earliest showing at 2, and I'm going to go see all those movies that I just listed with people this weekend. People actually wanted to go see those movies. Everyone I asked declined Now You See Me 3. I have multiple people coming to Running Man, multiple people coming to Keeper, a friend coming to The Carpenter's Son. No one wanted to see Now You See Me 3. Nobody. And I can't blame them because at the end, Mark Ruffalo fucking shows up in a hologram, and it's the final scene of the movie. And I might be honest in saying this is the worst scene I've ever seen end a movie in theaters. It made me think of Transformers. What was that shitty Transformer monkey movie called where the G.I. Joe card comes at the end? Transformers Monkeys from like a few years back. That was one of the worst, like just insulting my intelligence endings I've ever seen in a movie theater. The Flash, when George Clooney showed up, one of the worst insulting my intelligence endings I've ever seen. And Now You See Me 3 is right there because, hey man, you know who Mark Ruffalo is. You know the Hulk. He was in the first one. Like, yeah, and who gives a fucking shit about it? But hopefully you did. Hopefully some people do. I didn't expect this to be as negative a review as it was, but when you make a bad movie and you see a bad movie, you talk about it pretty poorly because it was a bad movie. So, overall, I can't even say the ending twist had me gagged. Um, Type of thing, kind of like whenever you get a shitty Saw movie, whenever they're doing the ending twist and you go, oh, this is the big twist. Like whenever the movie starts wrapping up, you realize that was the twist. I just didn't care about it, but that was it. That's what you were supposed to react to. So that was Now You See Me 3. Now you see me, now you don't. And Now You See Me 4, I hope you see it because I won't.